In today's video, we're going to be unboxing, setting up, and reviewing the Seachem Tidal Hang on the Back filter. This is one of the more common hang on the back filters, and I've used it on a lot of my aquariums over the years. And in today's video, I'm going to unbox this filter and show some of the features, some of the pros and cons that come along with this hang on the back filter. I'm going to quickly show how to clean this filter, and at the end of the video, I'm going to provide my own thoughts and a quick review on this filter and if I think it's the actual best hang on the back filter on the market. So guys, let's dive right in. So as you unbox this filter, it's fairly straightforward. On the top, you have your typical instruction manual that you don't really need. And then you have the big filter itself. As you can see, it looks pretty sleek. The plastic is made of good material. And outside of the filter casing itself, it has Seachem Matrix as biomedia in a bag that's currently inside the filter. And then one small box that has a couple additional pieces, including the intake tube, the heater holder, and a small screw which helps you adjust your filter and make sure it's sitting flat on the edge of your tank. So as you're setting this filter up, it's really easy. There's a big gray basket which has a blue filter pad at the bottom. And then as mentioned, it comes with Seachem Matrix, which is definitely good biomedia. I would just definitely be sure to rinse this off before you put it on the tank and get it running. This basket size is great, so you could definitely add more to it, whether that's some filter floss, which is what I usually do, or you could add more biomedia or even chemical filtration if that's what you choose to do. I really like to use ChemiPure Blue, and there's plenty of space in the back of this filter to add that. And then the last few things to add onto the filter, which are really quick and easy. One is the intake tube, which comes into two pieces. It allows you to easily adjust the length of the intake tube. If you have a deeper aquarium, you could have the longer length, or if you have a shorter tank, you could adjust that to make the intake shorter as well. The last few pieces, one of which is a heater holder, which I don't really use, but if you wanted to put it on the filter, you would just put it in the slot on the side. The last piece here is just the screw that goes into the bottom back of the filter, and this screw allows you to adjust the level of your filter as it's propped up on the edge of the tank. Makes for a very snug fit and easily adjustable to whatever rim of the tank that you have. Okay, so now you have your filter all put together, super easy and quick assembly. All you have to do is put this on the edge of your tank, plug it in, and it starts going. But before we put this on the tank, let's talk about some of the bells and whistles here, the pros and cons, and some things that I like and some things that I don't like about this filter. I think the main feature that stands apart from this filter compared to any of your hang on the backs like the AquaClear 110 or Marineland is that the filter pump itself will be inside of the aquarium. This is really beneficial for a few reasons. The first is that if you ever do a water change, unplug your filter, or have a power outage, when you're starting that filter back up, you don't have to manually add water to the back of the filter. It will self-prime as long as the pump is down inside the tank. It literally can be a lifesaver if you're away from your aquarium and the power goes out, or if you plug your filter back in and you don't realize that it's not primed. And then the last benefit of this is that because the pump is inside the water, it makes for one of the most quiet filters I've ever had. The pump itself won't be making a ton of noise, and then one of the other features I like about this in comparison to maybe the AquaClear is that the lid itself sits firmly and snaps into place, so you won't have that rattling that you get from some of your other hang on the back filters. So when it comes to your quietest hang on the back filter, I would say the Tidal definitely has that hands down. A few other things that you'll notice about the filter is that you not only have this intake tube here, which you can control the flow with this blue dial, but you also have this dial up here which controls the skimmer, so you have two inlets coming into the filter. I really like that extra benefit of the skimmer and the intake tube. It really makes for an efficient filter and a lot of water flow going through the filter itself. One quick downside to having this skimmer right here is that if your water level dips too low and below this skimmer line, it's really going to make a ton of noise as it's trying to suck water into this. So if you have water that's really low in your aquarium for some reason, this may not be the best filter for you if your water line is maybe 4 or 5 inches below the rim of the aquarium. I always have my aquariums filled to the brim, so this is never a problem for me, but if that's applicable to you, just keep that in consideration when coming to this filter. You can even see on the filter that it says minimum water line, so you want to make sure the height of your water is at least here and that the pump is sitting well below the water line. So I mentioned the two dials on this, which I really like to be able to control the water flow through the hang on the back filter. That could be really good if you want to dial it up or down, but I do wish that was black. The bright blue stands out on the back of your aquarium, and if you're like me, you're a little OCD, it definitely takes away from the aesthetic of the tank just a bit. Another feature that the Tidal has that a lot of hang on the backs have now is a little marker that shows if you need to do maintenance on your filter itself. So this blue guy will come up just a little bit if it's time to clean your filter or there's just a lot of buildup. As you can see here on my Tidal 35 in my fish room, it looks like I need to get to cleaning this filter because that has popped up just a bit. Again, that's a little bit of a gimmick, but most filters have that nowadays. I usually just keep my own maintenance schedule. I'm not looking at that to see when exactly I should be cleaning it. So another thing to keep in mind with any hang on the back filter is just the width right here that you need for the back of your aquarium. And as you can see here, there's a good 3 inches or so that you need between the back of the tank and the wall to make sure that this can fit behind your aquarium. It's a little bit thinner than say your AquaClear 110, but what's great is that the filter basket itself doesn't sacrifice too much room because it is on par with maybe your AquaClear 110 in terms of overall size for your media. So on the box here, it does say that this filter handles 450 gallons per hour, which I would say is a pretty good flow rate. It says that this filter can handle an aquarium of up to 110 gallons. I take that with a grain of salt, especially because I have so many cichlid tanks that have a bigger bio load than your typical aquarium. So I would typically put the 110 on maybe a 75 gallon tank. I would put the Tidal 75 on a 55 gallon tank, and so on. And that's one other good point, is that the different sizes of the Tidal come in 35, 55, 75, and 110. The 110 will be very similar to the 75 and 55, just a little bit smaller. And then the Tidal 33 right here for size comparison, I had this running on a tank before, so I just pulled it off for demonstration purposes, but that's the overall size comparison. I would say the 35 is a pretty good filter for maybe a 20 gallon tank or a 30 gallon tank. But you'll also notice with the 35 is that it doesn't have that intake tube that the 110 has. It just has that surface skimmer, which really doesn't seem to be a problem most times. Okay, so I mentioned that I have the Tidal filter on many aquariums in my fish room right now, and that goes to my 75 gallon Peacock cichlid tank. I have a 110 running. And on my 40 gallon tank, I have a Tidal 55 and a 35 just because I really wanted to keep up with the bio load in that tank. And then for my 20 gallon grow out tank, I have the Tidal 35 running. So when it comes to cleaning these filters, they make it really simple. You just slide the lock here and then you pull out the tray itself, which comes out just like this. You don't have to take the back casing off the aquarium itself. You can just let the water kind of drip out here, and you can actually take the lid of the Tidal itself and put it upside down. There's a little locking mechanism on the tray as you put the basket down so that you don't drip any water as you're going to your sink or trash can or anything like that. So that's a really cool feature, and I'll show that as I'm cleaning the Tidal 35 here. It makes it really easy to just bring over to your sink, and I'm draining one of my tanks right now during a water change, so I'm easily able to use my tank water just to rinse out some of the matrix and the sponge itself. It's really easy. I also just give the casing a quick rinse as well. It couldn't be easier to clean these guys. You don't have media falling out of the basket itself. I put the sponge and the biomedia back in the tray, and then I bring it back over to the filter itself, put it in there, and then it's good to go. You have a little handmade tray ready for you, which is a cool feature, and overall, it's just super simple. Okay, so lastly, what is my review of this filter? It is my favorite hang on the back filter that's currently on the market, and that's for a few reasons. First, I love the ease that you can remove the filter basket itself. There's plenty of room for media in there for whatever you want to do, and you can easily pull that out and clean it and put it right back into the filter. I absolutely love that the pump is in the water and that the lid is secure so that there's really no noise that ever comes from this filter. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I hear a filter buzzing or humming, and with something like the AquaClear 110, I've really had issues with that lid rattling anytime the filter starts building up with debris. I would also say that the filter material itself feels like it's really well made, and they thought of a lot of the features just to go an extra step to make this filter one of the best on the market. A few things that I maybe don't love about the filter itself is that if you do have your water level dip to a certain level, like I said, it does start gurgling, trying to get that surface skimmer pulling water into the filter, so you just got to keep an eye out for that. And then the last tiny gripe that I have is that the dials are light blue, and you can see them in the back of the tank sometimes, but overall the pros definitely seem to outweigh the cons of this filter. It's my favorite hang on the back, and if I'm going with the hang on the back filter, I will always go with the 110 first, and then I might look into the AquaClear or Marine Land next. And if you are looking for a hang on the back filter, I will leave a link down in the description below. You can follow that and find any of these different sizes of the Seachem Tidal. I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a hang on the back filter. I hope you found that information helpful, and if you did, make sure to leave a like down below or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.